Here is how Bitcoin is helping people who have escaped from North Korea. If you're sensitive, stop listening now because this gets deep. So I've been listening to the North Korean defector and activist Yeonmi Park at the Bitcoin conference. Yeonmi talks about how private property is banned in North Korea. Any kind of money that people were earning, they would store it and hide it in their own house. But in 2009, the North Korean government told all of their citizens to put the North Korean currency called the won into bank accounts. But once people did that, they locked access, and only people who had connections to the government officials could access their own money. And then the government told all the citizens that they were bringing in a new North Korean won that was worth 100 times less than the current money. So people's savings that they had worked for decades was essentially wiped out. And then when Yeonmi was 13, she was trafficked into China and sold as a sex slave for $300. So this happens a lot in China because of their one-child policy. It means that there's around 30 million more men than women, because Chinese parents were literally putting baby girls in the bin to make sure that they could have a child who was a boy because they were perceived as stronger. So what that meant is, in China, there's around 30 million men who can't find a wife because there's not enough women. So they buy women who have been trafficked from North Korea. So Yeonmi talks about how there's around 300,000 North Korean women who are stuck as sex slaves in China, and they've given birth to around 1 million children. And the problem is that these children and the women are illegally in the country, so the Chinese government are not giving them any kind of support. So the children don't have rights. So they can't live a proper life where they can go to school and get educated. And if they don't get a proper education, they're forced to be sold as slaves again, and the cycle continues. So Yeonmi talks about how Bitcoin is being used to help North Korean women and children who have been trafficked into China and are stuck with no real freedom because they have no access to a bank account and no access to any form of money. So donations are being used to help pay to support children being educated through homeschooling because they can't go to an elementary school in China. So I've put a link below to the Human Rights Foundation, who are working to support North Korean women and children. You can donate with Bitcoin or with cash, and they'll convert that to Bitcoin. As well as donating, just by owning Bitcoin, you're increasing the decentralization and propagating the network effects, which increases the strength of the system as a whole.